Hello, grade fives. I'm Mr. Siniza, and today we're going to talk about what symbolizes being Canadian. Being Canadian is more than just where we live, it's who we are. And in my case, I'm a Filipino immigrant who obtained a Canadian citizenship and currently living in Treaty 4 territory. Symbols reflect Canada's history, its values, and our sense of belonging. And there are many symbols that represent Canada. We'll explore some of them. When I first came to Canada, I saw this flag everywhere. It's red, it's white, and there's a maple leaf in the middle. At first, it was just a flag, but now it means so much more. It stands for peace, for unity, and for a place I now call home. And every time I see it, especially at special events like the Olympics, I feel proud. Now, back in the Philippines, the trees look very different. Here, maple trees turn bright red and orange in the fall. And the maple leaf, well, it's everywhere. If you recall, it's even on our flag and sometimes on souvenirs. It's more than just a leaf. It reminds me of how nature is part of Canada's heart. We are living and are related to the land. And speaking of the land and nature, I've never seen a beaver until my family moved to Canada. And when I learned that the beaver is one of Canada's national animals, I was surprised. It's small, it's quiet, but it never gives up, just like most Canadians. The beaver helped shape the Canada's history through the fur trade, and now it stands for hard work, resilience, and never backing down. Now, don't judge me, but I only recently learned how to ice skate, and let's just say that I spent more time on the ice than on my feet. In Canada, hockey's everywhere, literally. On frozen ponds, in arenas, and on TV. It brings people together. Sports here aren't just games, they're about teamwork, spirit, and sometimes falling a lot. What sports brings you joy? Now, speaking of joy, one of my joys is food, and one of the best things about Canada is the variety of food. Maple syrup, poutine, butter tarts, bannock, and more. Every dish tells a story. Some come from indigenous traditions, some from French and British roots, and many from people who've brought their recipes from all over the world. I remember when I first tried poutine, I thought, wow, this is Canada in a bite. What's your favorite food? Before any of us arrived here, this land was already home to thousands of indigenous peoples for thousands of years. As someone that moved to Canada, I've learned that true reconciliation isn't just about words, it's about taking action. We need to listen to indigenous voices, learn their histories, respect the land, and speak up against injustices. And when I first came to Canada as well, I started hearing names like Louis Riel, Terry Fox, and Viola Desmond. I didn't know who they were at first, but once I learned their stories, I was amazed. They stood up for what was right, even when it was hard. They showed bravery, kindness, and strength, and they helped shape the Canada we live in today. It makes me wonder, who inspires you to be the best version of yourself? Now, I've mentioned that I'm Filipino, and Filipinos have different culture compared to Canadian culture. So I was definitely nervous to fit in. While there's so much diversity here in Canada, not everyone always gets to share their culture or who they are freely. Racism and discrimination are still prevalent, and that's not okay. We can help change that by being kind, curious, and respectful. I want you to think of at least one way you can help someone feel proud of who they are. Now, after learning about all these Canadian symbols like the flag, the maple leaf, the beaver, and more, I've come to realize that being Canadian isn't just about where you live. It's about the culture, the people, the relationships we've built, and so much more. So, grade fives, what does being Canadian mean to you?